Hello, everybody. How are you guys doing? I hope that you all are doing fine today. Today, we'll be having verbs for the high school advanced writing. I will share my screen and we can begin. So, we will get our advanced writing from grade 8. So, log in using the apostudent.com, click on your name, language add, then scroll down here to grade 8, and then you click on the lesson verbs. So we have 6 lessons here for the verbs. We will complete the first 3 today, and then in our next lesson for the grade 8, we will finish up the next 3, which is on Thursday. Alright, let's start with the irregular past tense review. So we have to know what the irregular past is, okay? So first of all, most verbs are regular in the past tense. That means you follow a rule like adding ed or d to get the past tense form of the verb. So if the verb is regular, of course you have to add your ed or d to get the past tense format of that verb. Okay? And then some verbs are irregular. That means you don't follow a rule, okay? Instead, you must remember the past tense form of the verb. So when the verb is irregular, you do not follow a particular rule. You have to be the one to remember the irregular part of the verb, okay? Okay, so just like how we have Louis did his homework, now did is the irregular past form of do. Obviously, when it comes to the irregular, you cannot have anything like dude with ed. It's not possible. That's why we have a different format for the irregular past tense, and you have to be the one to remember that because it's very different, it's unique, and you have to remember. Unlike the regular that has the basic ed and d, you can just put the words in the regular. Okay, and you also need to note that not all verbs can be written in the regular and in the irregular. So all the words depends on the words, okay? So you have to be able to identify the words that are good in the regular and the words that are good in the irregular. Okay, so that's it for like this first lesson. This first lesson is all about the irregular past. So let's look at some sentences, examples before we move on to our test. So, after the American colonies declared their independence, 55 men undertake the difficult task of writing our country's constitution. So now, undertake, you have to write complete the sentence with the verb in past tense, okay? So you have to write the past tense form of the verb, okay? That's what you have to do in each sentences. You write the past tense form out. So if you look at the sentence, it says undertake. So you have to correct undertake in the past tense, okay? You have to put undertake in the past tense format. And what is undertake? Undertake, you cannot say on that undertake it with ed, okay? You cannot add ed to undertake, so it has to be undertook. So it is an irregular past. It is not part of the regular past that has ed. You have to change the pattern into the irregular parts. Okay, so that's it for this one. So let's go on to the next one. Then next question. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so the next one for the number two, it took determination and hard work for Cole, but Cole finally repaid his debt and started saving money for a house. So repay, you have to put repay in the past, the irregular past of repay. You cannot have ed, so it's gonna be repaid as the irregular past. Okay, so that's it. And then the next one, the next one says that when the actor fleeing his script at the floodlights and stormed off the stage, he was merely staying in character. So when the actor fleeing his script at the floodlights and then stormed off the stage, he was merely staying in character. So what does that mean? You have to put the past tense of fling, the irregular past, and it will be flung. Okay, that's the irregular past. So you have to put them in the right order. Okay, so let's look at some more examples. As the blues singer skillfully hits the final notes, the audience rose to demand an encore. So rose, okay, skillfully hits. So you have to write the past tense of hits, and the irregular past of hit is still hits. Hits doesn't have any special difference, so it's still the same. So excited at the prospect of a boat ride around the bay, Gwen slung her canvas bag onto the deck and scrambled aboard. So sling. So you have to put the irregular past of sling, which is gonna be slung. So it's just like she took her bag and then yeah. So an additional housing development went in. The local Huron population shrink, okay, even further. So it has to be shrunk, which is like the irregular past of this. Okay, so let's move on to the test now. Okay, so complete the sentence with the verb in the past tense. It took determination and hard work, but Cole finally repaid his debts and started saving money for our house. So repay here has to be the one that we will fix in the past tense. So which of the options will be the most suitable? It has to be repaid. Okay, so repaid is the most suitable for this. Okay, so we click on repaid. Okay, who bring this delicious coconut cake? You have to put it in the past tense. Who bring this delicious coconut cake? It has to be who brought this delicious coconut cake. Who brought it? So brought is the most suitable answer here. Okay, who brought it? Okay. After the American colonies declared their independence, 55 men undertook take the difficult task of writing our country's constitution. So it has to be undertook. Okay? Undertook. Alright? So not undertake because you have to write it in the past tense format. And the past tense is undertook. When the actor flung his script at the floodlight and stormed off the stage, he was merely staying in character. So fling is should be the past tense should be flung, okay? So when he flung his script, okay? An additional housing development went in, the local Huron population shrink even further. So what will it be? Shrunk even further. Okay? It shrunk even further. So the past tense will be shrunk. As the blues singer skillfully hit the final notes, the audience rose to demand an encore. So the audience rose to demand, and hit is still the same. Hit does not have any different form for the past tense. So we have the little deer looked at the Kogan for one brief moment, trembling, and then flew swiftly across the field. So flee, you have to get the past tense, which is fled. Okay, fled. Okay, so the school forbid all forms of bullying, whether on campus or online. So forbid, you have to put the past tense of forbid, which is forbid. Okay. Although the candidate's campaign would be costly and his odds of winning seemed slim, he seek re-election nonetheless. So seek. So what would be the past tense of seek? It has to be he sought re-election nonetheless. Excited at the prospect of a boat ride around the bay, Gwen slung her canvas bag onto the deck and scrambled aboard. So slung. Okay. Okay, so let's move on to the next lesson from the verbs simple, past, present, and future review. So let's get into the present tense. So what is the present tense? Present tense verb tell you about something that is true or is happening now. The present tense form of a verb must agree with its subject and number. So of course we all know that present tense simply means something that is happening at the moment, tells us something that is true, so it must agree with the subject. So we have singular subjects go with a singular verb. Of course, you need to have singular with singular. So singular subject goes with singular verb. To form most singular present tense verb, you need to add s. So for the singular present tense, most times you need to add s to the verb. For verbs that end in sh, ch, sk, X and Z, add ES. So if it ends with this SH, CH, S, X, and Z, you need to add ES to them. For verbs that end in consonant I, Y, change the Y to I and add ES. So if you have a verb that ends with Y, you have to change that Y to I and then you add ES. So snow falls outside my room. Now, this is a singular subject singular present tense. So false, take notes, I said you need to add s when it is in the present tense of the singular verb. So you have to add s to the verb. Dyla washes the dishes, and because this one ends with sh, the wash ends with sh, you need to add es. Susan carries the boxes to her room. Now carry ends with y, and because it ends with y, we need to change that y to I. So we add es after that. Okay? So for the plural subject, I and you go with plural verbs. Okay? For the plural subject, you need to note that the I and the you would go with plural verbs which have no ending. Okay, so ice cubes floats in water. You look nice today. Today, yeah, they usually have no ending, nothing at all. Okay, so you look nice today. Ice cubes floats in water. Two verbs are irregular in the past tense, to be and to have. You must remember their form. This soup is too hot. Erin has long hair. So this is it for the present tense. So this is for the present tense. And for the future tense, we all know that future tense, for you to identify them, you need to know that they will have will. I will do this today, I will do that tomorrow. That is it for like the future tense. They always come with will. And then the past, we have the irregular past and then the regular past. Regular, where we can add ed, and the irregular, we cannot add ed. Okay, complete the sentence with the present tense form of the verb. In the United States, the average child watch television for nearly 1,500 minutes each week. So watch, so it's supposed to be watches. Okay? Take notes because it ends with ch, so you need to add es. Did you know that a water molecule consists of two hydrogen atoms and one oxygen atom? So consists, s. It's singular, so you need to add s. So in 2013, a team of researchers developed a fiber optic cable that can transfer data at a rate that approach the speed of light. So approaches, okay? It ends with ch, so you have to add es to that. Approaches. Okay. Researchers estimate that up to 90% of the world's languages become extinct by the end of the 21st century. So will become. Now this is asking for future tense, and like I have said, future tense you have will added to it, okay? Because it's not happening now, it's happening in the future. So you would have will for the future tense. Now, future tense also. Next week, Tammy dash attend a conference on small business management in Greenville. So Tammy will attend. Will attend. Okay. All right. So now let's move on to the test and answer the questions. Complete the sentence with the future tense form of the verb. So the future tense. Next week, Tammy will attend a conference on small business management in Greenville. So you have to put will attend. Okay, will attend. Did you know that a water molecule dash of two hydrogen atoms and one oxygen atom? This one is asking for present tense, so you would have consist. Okay, consist with s. Researchers estimate that up to 90% of the world's languages become extinct by the end of the 21st century. So will become extinct. Will become extinct. The next time Halley comets approach Earth is in 2061. And that is future, so will approach. The next time it will approach. In the United States, the average child watch television for nearly 1,500 minutes each week. So watches because it's present tense. In 2013, a team of researchers developed a fiber optic cable that can transfer data at a rate that approaches the speed of light. So approaches because it ends with es. Okay, so approaches. Okay, so let's move on to the next lesson that we'll be doing today, and then the remaining three will be in the next class. But before we move on there, you can ask any questions if you have any. Ask your questions, send your questions on the chat, and then I will explain to you. Send your questions on the chats if you have any. Questions if you have any. If you have any question, send. Let's have some minutes for you to send your questions. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Okay, so since there's no questions, we'll move on to the form the progressive verb tenses. Okay, so form the progressive tenses. Progressive verb tenses. All right. Now, the progressive tense describe ongoing action. It tells about something that is, was, or will be happening. So that is it for the progressive tenses. It tells you something that is happening, or was happening, or will be happening. So ongoing action. To form the progressive tenses, use a form of the helping verb to be and a main verb ending in ing. So the present progressive tense tells about something that is happening right now, the present progressive tense. It uses a present tense form of the helping verb to be, is, am, or are. Julie is playing basketball right now. Playing, so ing. Now, the past progressive tenses tell about something that was happening in the past. It uses a past tense form of the helping verb to be, was, or were. So, Seth was talking to Mrs. Jones when the phone rang. So, it's going to use was or were for the past progressive. And then the future progressive tense tells about something that will be happening in the future. It uses the future tense form of the helping verb to be, will be. So it uses will. Karen will be visiting next June. So that's it for like the progressive tense verbs. It's just very basic, okay? Very basic. You have to take note that for present it's using is, am, or are. And then for past it will be using was or were. And for future we'll be using will. So complete the sentence with the present progressive form of the verb. My siblings and I memorized the words of our grandmother's favorite poem, My Heart Lifts Up by William Wordsworth, so we can recite it during her 80th birthday celebration. So now present tense form of the verb there. So it has to be mm, my siblings and I are memorizing. Since it's present, it's happening at the moment. So you have to say that they are doing it right now. Okay. This one now talks about the past. The wild beast grazed on the savannah in plain sight of a group of tourists who were thrilled to witness in the African herbivores in their natural habitats. So, past, okay, so it will be they were gazing, okay, gazing, we're gazing. And then the past, it's at the end of the film, which was a modern day adaptation of Romeo and Juliet. Half the audience sobbed. So now, past tense, half of the audience were sobbing at the end, okay, just like they were crying at the end. So we have the next, okay, siblings and I. In a heated conversation with Angie Mack, sidestepped the real issue. Why wasn't he taking on more responsibility for his part in the presentation on Tuesday? So past, progressive. So what would you say? We're sidestepping. Okay? We're sidestepping. So take notes that you use is, are, for present, and then was past, and will for present, for future rather. Complete the sentence with the present progressive form of the verb. The lawyers dash amend the contract to show that the construction of the opera house must be completed by April 1. So present, the lawyers are amending the contract. Okay, they are amending the contract. My siblings and I are dash memorize the words of our grandmother's favorite poem. So present progressive, you need to find the present progressive here. So it will be my siblings and I are memorizing. By the end of the film, which was a modern day adaptation of Romeo and Juliet, half the audience sobbed. So past progressive, half of the audience were sobbing, so they were crying at the end. Trees dies and the city's arborist suspected that the flat-headed apple tree borer, a notorious pest in that area, was to blame. Past. Okay, so trees were dying. The wild beast grazed on the savannah in plain sight of a group of terrorists who were trained to witness the African herbivores in their natural habitats. So we're grazing, okay? So we're grazing. In a heated conversation with Angie, Mark sidestepped the real issue. Why wasn't he taking on more responsibility for his past in the presentation on Tuesday? So we're sidestepping. Okay, so that's it for like the progressive form of the verb. We've completed like 3 lessons today. The next class we'll complete the last three. But before we end and all that, please let me know, ask your questions if you have any questions, and I will answer your questions. Send them on the chat, and I will answer your questions if you have any. So let me know if you have any questions before we finish for today. Send me your questions, and then we will be completing the next lessons in the next classes. So Send in your questions before we finish for today. Okay, so since we have no questions, we'll be finishing for today and see you guys in the next lesson. Do have a good evening and bye everyone.